The stories were imaginative. They were imaginative. You know, I think that everybody was encouraged to just blow it out. You know, it's not like, don't do the same story the next time that you did that time. Just make it really clever and really blow it out, you know.
The world's gone nuts! They're driving me buggy! They're all over me!
Hang on, boys! The exterminator man's here! Whoops! Let's pack it in, fellers! We ain't got a big enough tail to swallow them horseflies!
I don't remember any really lame Joe scripts. I mean, by the time they came in from the writers, you would want to polish them up, and the story editor's job was to make the show consistent with all the other episodes. And 90% of the time, that just meant, you know, changing dialogue, changing relationships between characters. So, and you know, you'd always do some structural work. You'd have some idea that you wanted to put in there, or you'd always buff it up. But it was an amazingly talented collection of people writing them.
Somebody did a two-part series. I think it was Marty Pasco wrote a two-part series about two different worlds, like that there was Joe's in an alternate reality. And in that alternate reality, World Without End, I think it was called, some Joes have been killed, right? And our Joes, 7 of our Joes land on this alternate reality planet, and they have to deal with this. And it was just, it was really a wonderfully imaginative, fresh idea.
Clutch to Lady J! I found what I was looking for!
The Lincoln Memorial's become a Cobra Commander Memorial?
Yeah, and it looks like the United Nations have become one nation under Cobra.
Cobra has conquered the world.
A lot of people used to say, oh, it's just another half-hour toy commercial. They were a lot better structure-wise and story-wise than some of the other stuff on television at the time.
I'm telling you, Lady J, being a G.I. Joe is ruining my life. I don't have time for nothing else. Why do you think I ain't got a girlfriend no more? She got sick of worrying about me all the time. That's why.
Oh, put a sock in it already, will you, Steeler?
Yeah, motion seconded. We've all had to make sacrifices to...
Yeah, I know, but I still say this one's a wild goose chase. Hey, Bogey's coming up fast.
They would give you a springboard, you know, and the springboard would be Cobra is trying to, you know, create earthquakes in California. Okay, and do 3 story takes on that. And then they tell you the characters they wanted to use. Yeah, and that didn't mean you couldn't use other ones, but they wanted a featured thing for Gung Ho, and they wanted some for Flint, and, you know, they wanted, you know, the Baroness in there. And usually 3 Cobras and 3 Joes. Then what you do is you'd give 3 takes on this California earthquake idea. And what we found, the first one would be pretty much the one everybody expected. The second one would be a little bit different, and the third one was just somebody throwing out a ridiculous idea.
Yes?
This is the Viper. I come on Friday. West Corner.
What was interesting about episodes like The Viper is Coming is that there's no other show in the known universe where you could get away with that episode.
Mr. Barbecue. I'm Barbecue. I'm the Viper. I've come to wipe your windows. $5.75 an hour. I start on West Corner. Top floor first.
If you were doing shows for a Saturday morning network animated show, everything was so overthought and so precious that you just wouldn't have gotten away with that idea. When you're doing, you know, episode 39 of G.I. Joe, and there are 56 episodes that season, after a while it's just, that sounds kind of cool, let's go with it. And stuff could slip through that would be just wonderful. And because it was relatively low stakes, you know, you could just say, you know, okay, we're doing that one. But what you knew is by the time it got through the process, no matter how weird the idea was, it would end up being a G.I. Joe episode. And there were times when we decided, let's make them just really weird, and we can always pull it back. And we just got sick of episodes where it's like, okay, and then we blow up the headquarters in the final scene, and you know, Cobra's created the. Oh, we did have one great thing. We had the Voltronic Galaxiter, and the Voltronic Galaxiter actually came out of Transformers. We used it in G.I. Joe too. It was our name. It was like MacGuffin. It was our name for whatever the stupid machine that either Cobra or the Decepticons were coming up that week that we had to stop. And I think I even tried to slide a Voltronic Galaxeter into an episode somewhere.
Here are the components you requested, Doctor. My troops are ready to assist you in building the Vulcan machine.
And what's this Vulcan machine supposed to do?
If any country is foolish enough to resist Cobra, the Vulcan machine will unleash a torrent of boiling lava from the Earth's core, reducing its largest city to charred ruins.
The series had this imagination vista to it where you could go anywhere, and you could go underwater, and you could go to exotic places, and because we were in animation, we could be anywhere, and we could create these wonderful environments. So it was taking the fantasy that children have in terms of their own understanding of adventures and carrying it forward with real people, with people like themselves.
Remember, the loser makes dinner. I win.
What did you do that for, Lady J? He'll make us eat that homemade Cajun gumbo of his.
Yeah, last time we used it to fuel the Sky Strikers.
Gumbo builds muscles, right, Doc?
Well, it's certainly given you a cast iron stomach.
But each of the characters got to have a personality, and it wasn't just, you know, military.
Oh, man! Will you look at it?
And what? All I see is snow.
Oh, don't you have eyes? Look at those tall pines! Those rugged peaks!
Makes me homesick.
Where you from, Bazooka?
South Florida.
If you were to ask 10 different people, you'd probably get 9 different answers as who's their favorite, based on the job they had, or the weapons that the toys came with, or how they were portrayed in the comic or in the animation. And there's a wider range of popular characters, even if they were fringe characters, which is really interesting.
Ace? You okay? Except for the lethal wound to my pride. That bozo almost cashed in our chips. Forget it. You did good up there. We're alive, aren't we?
Obviously, as a character, dimensional character, I thought Duke was a great hero.
Duke is your quintessential G.I. Joe. He is the guy who is always going to be the first to volunteer for an important mission.
Ace, get one of those rattlers. Radio the Joes and tell them what we found. What about you? I'm gonna shut down this little operation.
He really embodies what being a member of G.I. Joe is all about. It's about being a good teammate, being a leader by example, and just always being there for the fight, and never asking your teammates to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. That's Duke.
Sure hope my timing's as good as I think it is. Yo, Joe!
And he really took hold of the G.I. Joe team, and he was a really good leader.
The company belongs to the first sergeant. You know, the commanding officer borrows it from him. He's the guy that really knows what's going down, and he's got the experience and the legs on the ground.
And yet he did have a sense of humor, not as wild a sense of humor, of course, as Cobra Commander, but he did have a certain sense of humor.
You're not just gonna let him nap there, are you, Duke?
I have a policy about 10-foot bears. Lady, as far as I'm concerned, they can sleep anywhere they want.